Hello, everybody. This is Robin Leslie with onlytheinspired.com, and we are on day 24 of our onlytheinspired.com Coach Summit, and it's all about the value of coaching. And we have two very powerful interviews today. I think pretty much just about every day our interviews are extremely powerful. And that is one of the incredible things about coaching is, sometimes they're very fun topics and sometimes they're enlightening topics. And sometimes, like today, they are very heartfelt, to the core topics where sometimes those are the situations that people don't ever talk about. And so that is one of the things about coaching is, we all know that we have crap in our lives, and sometimes that crap could be super dark, and sometimes we need help to get out of that. So before we get started, I'm not sure if Keri Spring's going to be here or not, and Deborah, it all depends on the hurricane in her area, so we're hoping that both of the coaches will be here, but if not, it's just me. And we will have these incredible interviews. So please let us know where you're coming in from, where you're joining us. There's a little StreamYard link on the post where you could click on that and let us know who you are. It just basically gives us permission to actually see who's commenting when we're in the StreamYard. And if you're going to watch the interviews anyways, please share, especially today. We're talking about two extremely powerful topics. Keri Spring, we're talking about suicide and bully prevention. And with Miss Deborah Weed, we're talking about self-worth. And that's truly a subject that just about every one of us deals with, is our own self-worth. And we might love ourselves, but one of the questions, what was the hardest thing for you to overcome when starting your business? And a lot of people, it's like, who am I? And a lot of us question the self-worth, and we shouldn't do that. And to that extreme, that self-worth, if you multiply that by many levels, when somebody gets to the point of suicide, that is their question. Why am I here? Obviously, I'm not worth it, whatever. And so these are two extremely powerful topics. Please share, invite. Let's impact as many people as we can. I'm super excited to share with you the interviews today. So, Only the Inspired, we are launching in a week from today. Yay, I'm super excited, and I will talk a little bit more about that after we share Keri Spring's interview. And so it's a coaching platform. It's so much more than a coaching platform. It is a place where you could go to find and discover what your strengths are, what your passions are, to have somebody guide you through all those areas of your life that you're struggling with, whether that be weight loss, whether that be health, whether that be business, whether that be your own self-worth, whether that be how you communicate with your husband or your wife or your kids, or how you want to show up in the world. A lot of times, we don't know where our place is, but we know it might not be where we're at, or you might be completely thrilled with where you're at, but you want to improve in certain areas of your life. So any of that and all of that is possible with onlytheinspired.com. So I will, like I said, I will share more about that in a little bit. And I'm just truly grateful that you guys are here. And again, let us know where you're coming in from. If the coaches can't meet with us today because of outside circumstances, then still put your questions in the chat. And then the coaches are also available in the Only the Inspired Coach Summit group. And so I love that fact that they are there, they're reachable, that you could just click on their name and send them a message and connect with them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get started with Miss Keri's interview. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, put those in the chat. Or if you just want to talk about that subject, put that in the chat. And then we will talk a little bit in the middle. And then we're going to hopefully see Miss Deborah Weed. She is such a joy. Yay. And then we will play her interview. So I am going to share my screen and we are going to get started with the first interview. And again, make sure you share, do a watch party, invite people to watch these interviews. They're super powerful. So anyways, I appreciate you and I will see you in about 22 minutes, somewhere right around there. Okay. This is Robin with OnlyTheInspired.com, and I have the beautiful Keri Spring here today. Going to talk about a little sensitive subject, but a lot of people really, really need to hear it. So, in a couple of minutes, Miss Keri, describe who you are and how you help people.
Hi, like she said, I'm Keri Spring, and one of the areas that I really help people are those who have lost a child or even a parent or anyone to suicide. But most of the time this does affect, if it's not to suicide, but just losing someone or a close loved one, and how to overcome that and still live a joyful life. So we had lost our son at the age of 17 to suicide. And so since that point, 7 years ago, we have taken on this journey to help others come out the other side in a positive manner instead of in the grave next to your child. So my husband and I have really reached out, and we have gotten involved in different agencies. We've gotten our own business up and running just to help those, because what we found is a joyful way to live and also live for our other child, which we have a daughter, Julianne, that's an adult child now. So it's very important for their friends. It's very important for other children. It's very important for parents and others to learn to live again with basically what we call a new kind of normal.
Gotcha. So I don't really need to ask how you got started in this business, but maybe what inspired you to actually help others go through this same process?
Part of what really drove me was the fact that statistics immediately came out of our cause, and it was so amazing that you couldn't even barely get through the funeral, and people were walking up to you saying 98% of people divorce after they lose a child, or literally, like, all these statistics started getting thrown at you, basically setting you up for failure. And I had a faith that was much stronger than that, and I had a marriage that was strong, and I knew that together, between my faith and my marriage, and not only that, but for my daughter, that we wanted to choose a path that was going to be different than maybe that 98% of people. And it wasn't just to be different. It was because, before this happened unexpectedly, we had a great marriage, a great life, and we wanted to continue that despite our circumstances, because we learned in life that you never know what's going to happen. You never know. There's always unexpected things that happen, whether it's the loss of a child, whether it's the loss of a job, there's just 100 things that can happen in a lifetime, and you got to know how to weed your way through those things. And so we wanted to help people to, quote unquote, overcome the statistics, or to know that there is a possibility that you can live joyfully again. And so we began investigating in ways and really writing down and journeying our way through it so that we could help others. And tragically, there were some other circumstances in our small town after our son, and we also saw the result of people that didn't get help or didn't seek help outside of their own home. And we saw what that did to that family and those parents and the siblings and all of that. And we didn't want that for that family. We didn't want that for our family. And we certainly didn't want that for our community. So that was our heart's mission, is to be able to reach out and help those that are truly in need, because we're all part of a group that nobody wants to be a part of through our loss. But if we're going to be a part of that group, let's do our best to hold each other up.
That is beautiful and sad, but I love what you're doing. I know several people who have lost a child to suicide, and whether they're kids or adults, it doesn't matter. You got me all teared up. So I love what you're doing. Describe your ultimate vision for your business.
My ultimate vision would be, there's kind of a two-goal process, is I would love suicide to be a thing of the past. And I know a lot of people will look at that as, well, that's impossible. But in my mind, you have to set a goal that you can reach towards. And I believe that if we put enough things in place, that we can change the mindset of people and really show them their value in life and build their self-esteem. And because I truly believe in everything I do, that everybody here is on earth for a purpose, and there's value in everyone. And we need to get people to see their value and their purpose in life. And I don't care if you're a CEO of a company or you're a construction worker. To me, you have the same value, because both those jobs we can't go without. And this is what needs to be seen. And my son was going to be a welder, and they are crying for welders out there, but we have to get them to understand that there's an equal base in your purpose in life, and you need to have those different areas. If everybody wanted to be the same job, we would have a problem in the industry. So I have that ultimate goal of eliminating suicide. That is my number one goal, and everything I do aims towards that. But I also want to, as far as the business side is be able to have the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. And we feel that going through our journey and being able to walk through, and today I can say it's been 7 years, but we live a joyful life, and we live it intentionally. Not to say that anything from my son's life doesn't matter, because every day we think about him. There are many days we laugh because we have so many positive memories. He is a part of us. He always will be a part of us. But he would want us to continue living, and so would our God want us to use his story to change the story of others. And so we want to use, our ministry, this business, to also incorporate and teach others how to cope and come out living joyfully again.
I love that. And you also work with bullying, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yes. There are different, we dealt with bullying as an issue, and our circumstances. And, there's so much out there that people just aren't aware of because of the way our society operates nowadays, with cell phones, instant access, 24/7 access to individuals. Back in the day when we grew up, we went to school. If something happened, it happened during school. We went home. It was over. And now everything that takes place happens afterwards, because they can contact you through social media, through cell phones, texts, whatever the case may be. There were also so many hidden apps underneath, like a calculator. You can find a hidden app where people can get in contact with you, and all that sort of that has been brought into society, and it's really here, and it's here to stay. So we have bullying to the next level. The other component to the bullying is it's not just in the workplace, it's not just in schools, it's in homes. And part of it is people don't recognize maybe some of their actions as bullying. So one of the areas that we reach is kind of defining bullying and what bullying really is, so that people can recognize, because there are some circumstances where they're not recognizing their behavior as a bullying behavior. And when they recognize it and pull it back, the situation changes. And in other areas, they know what they're doing. They know how the bullying is affecting others, but they don't feel they're responsible for the others' behaviors when they drive them to a point of, even if it's just, a deep depression or having to be sent away to a psych ward, or even in some cases suicide. They don't feel they're responsible for their actions. And they feel that way because they're hiding behind a screen or behind a text, or they're not doing it face to face. So in that aspect, one of the things that parents need to understand is not only what technology has brought into it and how it is being used today to bully people, but how to also let their children know the impacts that bullying can have, and that kind of behavior, whether it's done face to face or through technology, is still bullying to its extreme. In fact, it's probably worse through technology than it is face to face, because 90% of people wouldn't do the same thing they do through a text or social media that they would do face to face. So those are some areas that we're working, some different things we're working with different people, of just trying to get awareness and information out that can combat it, because bullying can stop. It's just a matter of awareness and doing something about it. And the third component to that, I would say, is a discipline. And there are, different scenarios, and, and some of it, people may say, well, you can't do that to my child in school. But, if there are some states that have actually gone out and said, if your kid bullies and they get caught for the third time, I'm going to fine them X amount of dollars, because suspending them or putting them into a suspension wasn't working. But if all of a sudden money's coming out of the parent's pocket, the money all of a sudden makes the parent look into the situation and say, hey son, hey daughter, what are you doing? Because if you truly are doing this, then we need to put a stop to it. It's almost like that fine is the first definition of actually making them responsible for their child's actions and looking into it, before it turns to a criminal situation, which we've seen in the news, where they'll push and push and push through texting, and then the person will commit suicide through the texting, and then next thing you know, their child's being arrested for that death, or they're being pursued for it. And we've seen that in the news of the couple cases that have been out there, and you never want that for your child, especially not only for the one that's passed away, but I honestly would never even want it for the one that's maybe bullying, that doesn't really realize the impact of what they're doing. If they can catch them early, it'll stop. And so there's a great gap there that needs to be filled, because I think if that gap is filled, the bullying can diminish very quickly, because a lot of it's lack of understanding.
And some of the bullying comes from the parents. It's habits that they learn from their parents. Mm-hmm. And you see that, and it's super sad. And so not only could they possibly commit suicide, they could also lose their marbles and shoot up a school. I think that's been the cause of a lot of the school shootings, is the pressure, the bullying, and finally somebody snaps, and then that's horrible itself.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. There's nothing positive that comes out of it, and that's something that we need to reverse. But school shootings is another great example of what is very sad to come out of a bully. And usually in a case like a school shooting, usually it's several bullies getting away with it, and people knowing the bullying's happening, but just saying, not my kid, not today. So that's even worse.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, for social acceptance, that bullies are doing that because that's what their peers do, or that's what I think that's what their parents have done. And if you're not if you're not a bully or whatever, then you're going to get shamed at home or with your friends. And a lot of it's peer pressure. I love your vision of totally eliminating suicide and bullying. Kids have always been mean. They've always been mean. And but yeah, it's a whole different level. Now it's spread on the World Wide Web, where it's not just you and 5 kids that see it. Now it's thousands of people that see it. And yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So what, and it's kind of a weird question because I don't really think you have a lot of competition. So what beliefs do you have that set you apart from your competition? And I'm a collaboration, but I don't think there's a lot of people out there helping and bringing awareness to this this topic. But any insights there?
You know, as far as competition, I would say our biggest competitors are the parents, not necessarily in the business world, but the parents who continually fight to say, not my kid. Instead of sitting back and maybe saying, let me take a look and take an honest assessment. Let me take a pause and look. And, you know, it's hard to imagine your child doing something, you know, but we as parents, that's part of our responsibility. And sometimes I think we get so fast paced in life that we just don't stop to look. And hopefully maybe through COVID, some things have changed because we've been more in a close setting where maybe your child's been home and locked up with you and you've been teaching them school or whatever the scenario is. So you've revealed a little bit more of what's going on, and you can see, you know, I think I saw a sign on a car like, parents, you lied to me. You told me your kid was an angel all the time. And they were writing it to the teacher because the teacher was giving them that report back. And, you know, that is, you know, a really serious thing that they're saying, because, you know, it's, your kids are different when they're not around you, and they want to put their best front to their parents, because I'm sure they don't want to be that awful person too. Just sometimes it happens. Sometimes, like you said, peer pressure makes it happen. And whatever that circumstance is, you know, sometimes it takes an army to bring it down, and the first step is the parent. So yeah. That I think is our biggest thing we battle. That, and I'll be saying, you know, maybe finances at some point, because, you know, there's a lot of aid out there, but they've cut so much of it to be able to get the programs in school to educate kids on bullying and suicide. And I think that's one place they need to add finances to, and offer these programs in school, not at the cost of taxpayers, but letting the government bring these programs in, because in the long run, it's going to save people money.
Yes, and lives, and yes. So what was the hardest thing to overcome when starting your business?
The hardest thing was building a list, getting awareness out that we were starting this journey. You know, because it's you start from scratch, and then you got to kind of reach out there and find who you are. I'm fortunate. I have a lot of technology skills, so as far as getting that stuff in place, it wasn't as difficult. But I think just getting an email list and really reaching out, because, you know, my heart's desire is to reach everybody that needs to be reached when it comes to this topic. So if I miss out on a person, and that person ends up committing suicide, I feel like lost, because my heart is to stop it all. So that has been my biggest challenge, is how do I reach all the people that need to hear this message? How do I reach all those that need comforted if they have lost, like I've lost, and are so stuck in their home they can't get out because of their grief? How do I get to that person so that I can show them that they can live again? Because we need to do that.
And I just want you to know that you can't take on the responsibility for what other people have done.
Right.
If you can get to them, don't put any more of that on your shoulders. You already had enough, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So no doubt, I know the answer to this question, but do you have the support network of friends and family encouraging you to do this, or is this something you just absolutely felt compelled to do, and you're doing it no matter what anybody says?
No, I've got a great network of people, and, you know, and it starts right with my church family, and, you know, and of course my parents and my husband and my daughter, and, you know, they're just, you know, they've seen, actually they probably saw in me what I see in myself now before I saw it in myself to be able to do this. I knew that we were overcomers. I knew that we were strong in our faith, and we're doing this God's way in our grieving process and overcoming it. But I wasn't quite sure if opening up and going out and really being vocal about it was maybe my strength. But through my friends and through my family, they have like, no, you've got a message, you need to share it, and you're going to make a difference.
Awesome. Awesome. Just kind of like the mother that lost her child to drunk driving, and she started MAD, Mothers
Yes.
Against Drunk Driving. And, you know, somebody's got to take a stand and be vocal about it. I'm grateful you have the courage to do that. Yay. So what is your favorite thing about your business?
Just connecting with new people. You know, it's amazing, the people out there that not only you connect with, but the people that have the same mission and heart that you have. There are a lot of unfortunate people that belong to the same group that I call it a group, you know, your group that you never want to be in, but when you're there, you might as well make the best of it. So there's a lot of people that we've met along the way that have suffered from a loss like we have, and they want to do the same thing. If they have come out of it and they've really grieved in a manner where they've been able to do what we've been able to do and are ready, they not only have joined forces, but they've also networked out, which has made it possible to reach more people.
Good, yes. The more people, the better. Yeah, we need as many as possible to stop this. So what inspires you? What are you passionate about? And it doesn't have to be business.
You know, I'm a family person. So, you know, I love the fact that, you know, as a family, even when the kids were little, we make our own maple syrup. So we just do a lot of those type of activities together. We always take a vacation together. And even with Julianne being an adult, you know, we tried to still find a week when she can get off work to do things as a family. So I am so passionate about my family, about my church family, and about giving back. I mean, one of the things that probably the most passionate thing that I'll even put it to this, we created a scholarship in memory of our son. And so that is a driving force that we just are excited. In the last, probably 6 years, 5 or 6 years, we've given over $20,000 away to kids that are going into a trade. So not only were we able to continue to raise money without going and getting public donations, we have set up with an organization that allows us to go in and do a few things, and then they donate because we're with a 501(c), but we can just give back and give back and give back to kids. And you know, it's exciting because not only, you know, are these kids being given an opportunity, but kids that go in the trade that people usually turn their noses down to are given scholarship money, and there's hardly anything for those kids in scholarship wise, and now they're getting it. And we've even had kids come back and say, you know, you believed in me and I believed in myself, and that's why I finished those 2 years to whatever they were going for. And that's what it's all about. You know, it's building that self-esteem, giving them the courage to maybe step over something that maybe is a little tough, and providing the extra little funding for them. Sometimes there's a difference from them being able to go to school or not go to school because you know, costs are up. I know mine just graduated with a master's, so I know what the cost of colleges are. But that has been very inspiring, and it's been so rewarding seeing the letters come in and seeing the kids say, I finished, I told you I'd finish. And just seeing them believe in themselves, what we saw in them from the beginning, and having we got 6 school districts that we give to in those areas. So I'm passionate about that too.
That is beautiful. I love that. So who inspires you?
Who inspires me? You know, God, my Father is my number one inspiration. And, you know, without him, I probably wouldn't be here at all, because I would have given in to the world and probably been, you know, just destroyed myself with what had happened. But that's my greatest inspiration, and just leading by example and following in the footsteps of how he has shown me and given so much grace in my walk, and so he just inspires me, and strongly behind that's my husband. He's my biggest fan. He's my, my supporter in all that I do. And, my life would not be the same without him in it, even before tragedy. And so those are my two biggest inspirations.
Beautiful. Yay. So my last question, if you could leave one tip or golden nugget for the people listening, and it was the only thing you could tell them and your only chance to say that, what would it be?
God made you for a special purpose. Find your purpose and live joyfully and never give up.
Awesome. Can't get much better than that. Awesome. So is there anything else that you would like to share? I know you have a giveaway. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the audience before we tell them about that?
I would say this, there's a quote out there. I don't remember who originally came up with it, but learn as if you're going to live forever, live as if you're going to die tomorrow. And we have kind of seen that quote come up over and over again. And, the way we look at it is every day is a chance to learn something new, whether it's a shopping tip or a educational thing. But always be learning something new, because you never know what you might be stumbling upon that can improve your lifestyle. But don't miss an opportunity, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. And so it's so important to know where that line is, and don't just say, well, I'll get to it tomorrow, because we don't know if tomorrow will come. And so that has been something that we have really kind of gotten out there of, just don't give up on opportunities, take them as they come. If you have a chance to scuba dive for the first time and you think, well, I'll try it next week, I'm a little scared this week, dive in and go, because it might be your only chance, and you wouldn't want to miss out on something you love. So that's one thing that I would just encourage others, and kind of remember that quote, and just keep learning, take everything you can in.
I love that. Yes. If Today Was Your Last Day, that's one of my favorite songs by Nickelback.
Yep.
Yeah, because you never know. So
Yep.
You have a guide for parents to overcome the loss of a child, and that's what you're giving away, right?
That's correct.
And so for everybody, to get that guide, you would go to kerispring.com. So it's KERISPRING.com. And there'll be an opt-in form right on the first page, and then put in your name, email, and then you'll get that parent's guide to overcoming the loss of a child. And it doesn't have to be to suicide, or the loss of anybody, right? But
that's absolutely correct.
Yeah. And for everybody listening, I know that we all know somebody that's lost somebody. That could be you. That could be your sister-in-law. In my case, I have lots of people who have lost people. Please, please, please share this video, because the more people that we can help get through that most difficult process in their life, the better. I'm going to get all emotional again, but please share this video. It's such an important thing, and I absolutely love what you and your husband are doing. It's beautiful, and our mess is our message, and not that happened for a reason, but you are doing something the most beautiful way possible with the ugly situation, and it's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and it's been a road, but we're hoping that others don't have to travel it if we can keep pressing forward on what we're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you again so very much. And everybody, please share this video, share the podcast when it becomes a podcast. And thank you very much. Thanks for spending your time. Thank you very much, Keri. And we will talk to you guys later.
Okay. So what a powerful interview, huh? And I can't think of anything more beautiful for somebody who's gone through a loss like that to actually then turn it around and to try and impact other people. And, it takes a lot of strength to do that. And like I mentioned in the interview, the lady who lost their child to an accident with a drunk driver started Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD. And, that's such a horrible thing. And it's beautiful that they could take that strength and then help other people because they know personally the impact that it can have on a family. So this is something when we're talking about the bullying, and she was talking about the app. So there's a couple things I want to share, and it's scary. So when one of my daughters was in, I think it was 6th grade, there was some weird app out there. It was a challenge called I think it was the Blue Whale Challenge. And it actually taught the kids how to slowly but surely in 30 days start backing off from their friends and family and start doing steps. There were like challenges in this Blue Whale challenge, and at the end of it, after you're kind of backing away from your friends and family, and it also threatened the kids, if you don't follow these steps, then we're going to hurt your friends and family. So anyways, it was all these horrible steps to start withdrawing from your family, and the end result was for you to jump off of a building and to kill yourself. And I thought it was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard, to have a challenge to try and get kids to kill themselves. And I thought it was, I don't know what crazy sick person would do that, but there are lots of unknowns out there in social media. So this is one of the scariest books I think that are out there: American Girls, Social Media, and the Secret Lives of Teenagers. And so it has it in an Audible version. And it talks about the massive pressure that teenagers go through. And, a lot of it with the social media, right? If you don't get likes, if you get bullied, if you get shamed, a lot of it is shaming on, naked pictures. Like, one of my other daughters, she was asked by several friends that had been her lifelong friends when she started developing and she had a little hottie body. She was asked by several of her personal friends to send them nudes. And it was really hurtful for her, first of all, that they would ask. And second of all, so if you did, then obviously they're going to share it to all of their friends. If you don't, then you're a prude. And this book talks about several of those things where being a prude, being a slut shaming, all this kind of stuff. And so if you have, and it doesn't have to be a teenage daughter, but if you have a teenage girl especially, check out this book. And they have it on Audible. It's a pretty big book. But it's scary. It is scary, the things that are out there and the massive pressure that goes on for teenagers. And this is mostly focused on American Girls. I'm sure it applies to girls in other countries, but I'm sure a lot of this applies to the boys also. And so as parents, we didn't have to deal with any of that. We didn't have the social media. So social media can be amazing, but we didn't have the availability of stuff like that. I remember here, it was several years ago at one of the middle schools, there were over 100 boys that had nude pictures on their phones from girls around. Back in the day, if you wanted nude pictures, you had to go somehow and get a copy of the Playboy magazine or Hustler magazine or find it somewhere. You didn't have the availability. And with today's day and age, all you have to do is send a text and say, hey, show me your boobs or whatever. And it's a social thing, but it's very shaming. to be a teenage boy, yeah, how awesome would that be to actually get nude pictures sent straight to your phone? But as a teenage girl, it is the most degrading thing that can happen to you. And I want you guys to know that it happens. It happens all the time. And so yeah, from when that middle school here had over 100 kids that had, it's called sexting, right? That had nude pictures on their phone from girls that were going to school. That would have been close to 10 years ago. And that stuff is still going on. And so I just want you guys to be aware. So I want to talk about a few things before Miss Deborah gets here. And I'm hoping she gets here. I'm hoping the hurricane's not too bad. She's in the Florida area. And I also want to give a major shout out to people in California. The whole state's on fire. And I guess they could see smoke from California all the way in Kansas. There is so many fires. My friend posted a picture. It probably looked like 100 different fires in California. I read a few days ago it was 27, but it's multiplying and spreading, and it's so dry. And some of those areas, the California redwoods right now, and where some of the condors live, that is on fire. And it's so, if everybody could pray for everybody in California, they're going through horrific stuff. And I was just thinking, and friends of mine have been evacuated. If they're evacuating and then putting all of those people, normally when you do an evacuation, they put them like in an event center or whatever. And then the whole COVID thing on top of the smoke and evacuation. So it could just be a nightmare. So if everybody could pray for California and for the firefighters, that would be awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about what in your life has been one of the biggest struggles that you could actually turn around and help other people. Just like Keri Spring, one of the probably the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to her son committing suicide. She turns around and finds purpose and meaning in that, and then goes out and helps other people. What struggle in your life that you have overcame can you help other people with? And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the things that coaching has helped me with, right? And so, I'm not putting on the summit just for fun. I truly believe in the value of coaching. And so coaching has helped me. First of all, my first experience with coaching was Unleash the Power Within. And so that was my first Tony Robbins event. It was my 40th birthday, was the day that I walked on the hot coals the first time. It was amazing. But it was the first time in my life where I truly understood that how we live our lives and how we design our lives is completely our choice. So how you can control what you focus on, what your physical body does, and the things that you say to yourself. And those three things, Tony calls them the triad. Those three things can completely change your life. So I learned that just because I had been limiting myself with my own self-beliefs and self-worth, and we're talking about self-worth with Deborah Weed, all the things that I had kind of limited myself with were all BS. It was all BS, and that I could change them at any moment. And then a month later, after I went to Unleash the Power Within, and I was there to make changes. There's some people that go to those events and they don't, in my opinion, they don't take advantage of having that time to dig in and work on the crap in your life and make your life what you can imagine it to be. Because we all can live those lives that we're just so thrilled about. And that's what I want. I want to spread that inspiration. I want to spread that passion. So Date with Destiny, I was able to understand really about my values that I wanted, and also the values that you don't want. So there's towards values and there's away values. I realized that I did not want resentment and regret. And I got over, my ex-husband cheated on me. And I was pissed. I was pissed for 5 years, and I held on to that and kind of made everybody around me miserable, right? So whenever he would come around, it would be an awkward situation with my girls and him and me and my in-laws. And after 5 years of being pissy with his girlfriend, who was the same lady, I realized I didn't want to have resentment and regret. I didn't want him back. I didn't want him back. And so I didn't need to be pissed off anymore. I didn't need to hold that grudge. And when I released that, everything changed. A week later, we literally had Christmas with him and his girlfriend and my kids and the in-laws. And it was so relaxing. That is, if you can get nothing else, forgiveness, but to let it go and realize, I am good, and just let that crap go. Holding on to stuff that you've been pissed about for years and sometimes decades does you no good. It hurts you. And then also, one of the biggest things, and I've talked about this in a different interview, was getting over being molested. I was molested at 10 years old, and that stuck with me. It affected every relationship that I had with a man for 30 years. So it happened when I was 10, and I got rid of it when I was 40. And that was all through coaching. That was all through Tony Robbins coaching. That was when I knew that I wanted to make an impact on people like Tony did. To have something kind of make your life sucky for 30 years and to be able to get rid of that with the help of a coach. That was so amazing for me. And, learning about love. And so even if you have no interest in being a coach or starting your own business, what about the simple little things like love languages, and learning about masculine and feminine energy, and learning about numerology? For all of that kind of stuff for me was very enlightening when it comes to relationship coaching. But not only relationship coaching, when you have that true, deep, heartfelt understanding of who the other person is, you can appreciate them for their differences. You can appreciate your spouse. You could appreciate your kids. And a lot of times we try and raise our kids, and I think I try to do this a lot. I try to raise my girls as if they were the same. I try to have the same rules, to be fair, right? Because you're winging it with your first one. You're totally winging it with your first one. And then when the second one comes, you're a lot more relaxed. And then you see that on commercials where the couple, they're washing their baby and they're kind of arguing because they don't really know how to do it. And then by the second or third kid, the mom gives the baby to the dad in the shower, and they got this thing handled. And so the second kid comes along, and sometimes you want to treat them the same. You want to parent them the same. But you have to realize that they're totally different. Their love languages are different. Who they are as people are different. And so all of these little things, they're life skills. They're things that we need to learn to know how to treat our family, to treat our coworkers, to treat ourselves, to treat our spouses. And, the value is just absolutely incredible when you can learn these life skills. And, with onlytheinspired.com, we have coaches that have been through sometimes the ugliest stuff in their life, and they come out of that with a new vision. And, sometimes it's a loss of a job or the loss of a business. And at the time, they thought it was the end of their world, or the loss of a marriage. And a lot of times that just hits people so hard. But when they come out of that, they have a whole new outlook on life. And, divorces suck. They do suck. With my relationship, I and sometimes we marry the wrong one. Just saying. And I'm a relationship coach. But sometimes, going through my divorce, it was hard. I just lost my friend, and now I'm a single mom of 2 little kids. But at the same time, that is where I grew my strength. That is where I stepped into my own power and I took care of business. And I know lots of you are going through the same thing where all of a sudden I wasn't expecting it, whether you get a divorce or you lose somebody, a loss of a spouse or something like that. You find that newfound strength. And sometimes we don't know where to turn to, who to talk to, all that kind of stuff. And so I want you to know that onlytheinspired.com is not just a place to learn new skills. It's a place to help you grow and appreciate your friends and family and appreciate differences in people. And right now, well, a week from today, we are actually officially launching, and I'm so excited. So right now, you have a chance to get your membership at $67 a month. And so let's say there's only 20 coaches to start, and there's 20 courses at $300 each. That's a $6,000 value for $67. So I hope you guys really can appreciate this, and we're going to go much more into detail. But to find out more, go to onlytheinspired.com and get on that membership. And that's a limited time price. And so I just want, I want you guys to make sure you take advantage of that. And yay, we have Deborah here. So the hurricane hasn't washed her away. Hi, beautiful.
Hi, Robin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good. Doing really good. I thought for a while that the hurricane was a little bit wired even for Florida, but so far so good.
And where in Florida are you?
It's Singer Island. It's near the Palm Beach area.
Gotcha. I'm not sure where that is. So is that down by Miami?
It's like about 2.5 hours up from Miami.
Oh, okay. Got you. Well, I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I am too. And I'm praying for everybody that's out there right now because that double hurricane is like,
yeah, double hurricanes on one side of the country. We got all of California is on fire right now. It's such sad time. Mother Nature is a little pissed off. When stuff like that happens, I say it's Mother Nature's hot flashes, right?
Exactly. Mother Nature's hot flashes, exactly.
And she's in charge, and there's really nothing we could do to control Mother Nature. I am super excited about our interview today. And so Deborah talks about self-worth. And, we talk a little bit about her story in the interview, but it's such a incredibly important topic. And I think we all struggle with self-worth. So how are things going with you? How is the business going? How is all of your training and stuff expanding?
Well, I think the biggest way and the best way that it's expanding is because so many people are losing their self-esteem, all the things that they've been attached to on the outside, like that's where all their power was. And so to go back in and to find out what their self-worth is, how they value themselves, it's become essential. I'm hearing from my clients that to go inwards rather than always pushing outwards is both a privilege, an honor, and also scary, really scary. But I also know, and Robin, as you probably know too, once you go inside and really start to see where you were meant to be, you might go a totally different place. And that's another thing that I've found with some of the clients I'm working with. They started out in one thing and it fell apart. And at first it was horrible. And now they're seeing like new opportunities that are lighting them up and energizing them. So it should be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I got a message from a lady on Facebook today talking about how she was in one career and that ended. And where she is now, she said, I never knew my life would go in this direction ever. and I never knew that this was my purpose or whatever. And it was, and a lot of us, we don't know until it happens. We think we have this picture in our brain of, this is my career. This is what I'm going to retire from. This is everything, this is the husband I'm going to end up with, whatever. And then when shit hits the fan, and then we have to go in and question, was it us? Was it my worth? Am I the reason why it all fell apart, and where do I go now? And sometimes that is the birth of the true you, is when, that kind of, that stuff gets ugly and you hit the wall, or so it's funny how that happens.
You said that perfectly.
Well, and I think we all have to hit some sort of a wall, or it's a wake up call, basically. And sometimes that is a near death experience. And sometimes that is, the loss of a business or a job or a family member. So, and hopefully, so the goals of coaches is to try and help you skip that part, and try and help you skip that falling flat on your face. And if you could take some of our experience in how we came out of those places and, take leaps and bounds towards the end goal, that would be awesome. Because, we've all been there, and now we want to help people avoid that or make it easier. Yes.
And that's exactly the truth. We've been there. That's your motto. We've been there. Don't go there. We're going to help you just skip over to the other side.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I think people think it's like the teenager listening to the parent, right? The parent's trying to, instill this wisdom on our kids, and the kids are going, I'm smarter than you. I don't need it. I can figure this out and I can do it better. And if they would have listened, they could have helped, or they could have skipped a lot of the hassles. And so a lot of people think, I don't need a coach. Well, and you might not need a coach, but a coach, when you hear coach after coach saying, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a couple coaches that have 4 coaches. When the coaches say I have coaches, then that's, it's a sign, because we know it's going to get us so much further ahead. And some of the biggest professionals in the world have coaches. All of the professional athletes have coaches, all of them. Yeah.
And one of the most fascinating things that I found is that one of the reasons you need coaches is so obvious, but it's so simplistic. When you speak to somebody else and they can reflect back what you're saying and really hear you at the depth, because sometimes you say one thing, but it's not really what you mean. You mean something totally different. And somebody who's got the eyes to see that and can bring that out of you, oh my gosh, it makes all the difference in the world. You can finally hear yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, and sometimes, So in some of the questions that I ask, right, and sometimes it takes a while before the aha moment comes, right? So one of the questions that I ask is the support network of friends and family, and so sometimes I feel like my friends don't get me because they're not in that space. But then the other day I was eating dinner, it's like bing, bing, bing. That started when I was in high school. That started, I didn't get the support in I know it sounds totally dumb. I wanted to be a cheerleader more than anything. And it took me 7 times trying out and getting the nose before I finally got it. And then I was pissed off because my mom couldn't get me to and from the practices, and I felt so unsupported, even though she worked like 45 minutes the opposite direction of where my school was. At that moment I felt very unsupported. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened to me, and you're not there. And so it occurred to me that stuff that happened 35 years ago still kind of weighs on me, and so you don't really realize that. So weird
You know
weird
what's
tangent.
fascinating about what you just said? You
What?
are the biggest cheerleader for people right now. Did you realize that? I mean, like, that's what you do every day. So it's like that ingrained in you of wanting to be that cheerleader, really needing to do it, and then doing it now for so many. I mean, go figure. That's kind of a cool thing.
Well, because it's scary, it's sucky to do it all on your own, and so that's why the community part of Only the Inspired is so important to me. You know, because a lot of people don't have that, but they want to expand and grow. And how do I do that if I'm not supported? Well, let's create that support. Let's create that for you so you could lift up and share your gifts with the world. And so yes, it was a personal thing to me, but that's why it's so important that's part of what I'm doing. Is like, I want to be there even if nobody else is there for you. I'm there for you. We're all there for you because we're all in the same group, and we all know the power of community and cheerleaders in our lives. And that's a self-worth thing too. I'm thinking, okay, this was the biggest thing in my life. And, am I not worthy for, you guys to support me? And, but years after I look at, from my mom's perspective, it's like, I know she was busy and stuff like that. But as a teenager, it's like, the self-worth kind of gets squashed. And so, and you are talking about nothing about self-worth. And so I'm very excited to learn, a lot more about you and, to share your interview. But it's funny, those aha moments, like you said, sometimes you don't hear the things, there's something beneath that question that you're asking. What is that beneath that question or that comment or statement? And yes, that the wisdom of the other coaches to go, is this what you're really saying, and don't realize it? And yes. So I hope that wasn't confusing.
Oh, no, not at all. I followed you perfectly.
Okay.
Every piece of it. And I love, Robin. I can't emphasize enough the fact that you're creating a community where people will be supported, because that's half of it. It's like you said, it's one thing to want to go out in the world and be a cheerleader, even when you're a teenager. But it's another thing when people get behind you and they're cheering for you. I mean, you're trying to get the crowd going and get everybody excited. And then when somebody supports you in that, it keeps on going exponentially. I love that.
Mm-hmm. And we all have the worth. We all are worthy of being supported.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah.
So, every single one of us.
Yes, every single one. So this interview we recorded, it was July 14th. So it's been a while. It's been almost a month and a half. Are you excited to see it?
Absolutely. Let's see how it was back then compared to now.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we'll definitely find out where you are now as opposed to when we did this interview. And so for everybody watching, if you have any questions for Deborah as we're going through the interview, put them in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from, and then we'll answer questions and answers when we get back. So let's share your interview. And so I'm going to ask you to mute your microphone. That way, if you talk to anybody, we won't hear it on top of the interview. And then I will bring you back up, okay?
Okay.
All right. And we will see you shortly.
Emily with onlytheinspired.com doing another amazing coach interview. And today we have Miss Deborah Weed. So I can't wait to hear about her story. What she does is absolutely amazing. So, Miss Deborah, in a couple of minutes, describe who you are and how you help people.
Absolutely. Have you ever felt like you're not enough? Well, I have felt that way. I am the founder of the Self-Worth Initiative. And what I do is make your life more joyous and happy and fulfilled by re-energizing that vital spark that you have. And just a quick little factoid about self-worth that a lot of people don't actually know. There's a difference between self-esteem and self-worth. Self-esteem is everything that you do on the outside, whether it be your career or your relationship or getting money. And when all those things crash, especially the times like this when there's great change, sometimes we don't know how to believe in ourselves again. And we have to go in, learn to have self-worth so that we can determine our own value, so that we can then get the careers that we want, the relationships that we want, and guess what? The money we want too.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know what self-worth is, the difference. So that's awesome. So how did you get started in this business? Was it an event that happened, or was it a series of events that happened?
Robin, I got to tell you that it was because of a crisis in my own life. That's what's made me so tremendously passionate to help others. Here's kind of what happened to me. I had to have an MRA, and an MRA is when you have a contrast. And I went to the hospital, and the technician was supposed to put gadolinium into my vein. Now, for those of you who don't know, gadolinium is a heavy metal. It's a toxic heavy metal. She missed my vein and she put it into my arm. And when she put it in my arm swelled up like this. And it's almost like the way that I can describe it is taking mercury and mainlining it. That would be the best way to describe, because most of the time when somebody gets gadolinium, they pee it out and everything is cool. But for me, that didn't work. So I was in excruciating pain and I didn't know what to do. And I went to an acupuncture after going to a lot of doctors who couldn't help me. And the most amazing thing happened. He's sticking needles in me, trying to bring me back to life, and nothing was working. Until he asked me, Deborah, tell me about your life before all this happened. So I went on to tell him, look, I had been the director of development for Citibank. I had been working on a $26 million pavilion with Universal and Disney people for Kia Motors. And a pavilion is kind of like, it's a small world after all, one of those big, gigantic. Right. And I had done all these creative things. And he goes, you know what? I can stick all the needles in you that I want, but it's not going to bring back your life force. You must do something creative. So he challenged me to take improv classes. Oh, now, Robin, you got to understand, I've been a producer, like behind the scenes many times, but to get out there and to do improv and to try like comedy out for size, I mean, it was so intimidating, but watching the other people, I'd laugh a little, and then I'd laugh a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, it was almost as if I had this willpower come back into me, my own life force. And that made me determined to use my creativity and the concept of instilling self-worth to make a difference. And then since that time, I went on to make musicals, write books, and do so many things to inspire thousands of women and their kids to know their worth in a very, very fun and dynamic way, and then to do something about it.
Oh, that is awesome. That is very cool. So how long did the arm thing, how long was that an issue for you? How long was it swollen? I'm just curious.
It was swollen for about, I would say, 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
It goes really big and then it gets smaller, but doctors don't know what to do with it, because like Chuck Norris's wife, she has gadolinium poisoning, and most people who have that are down for the count. Like they're down for the count. And I truly believe, like my best client, the person I love working with the most, and this is kind of crazy, but is the person who hit a wall and it seems like it's like they don't have anything left. To watch them come back to life is the most exciting thing ever for me. So it took years for me to come back, but the Self-Worth Initiative, actually working to inspire other people, was one of the motivators that brought me back, and that's why I'm here talking to you right now.
I love that. It's contribution. I love that. So describe your ultimate vision for your business.
My ultimate vision for my business is I've been tremendously successful, Robin, with helping the women and their kids. But now I want to focus on women. I got a little secret to tell you. I was actually happily going to be retired. I felt as though, okay, I've done everything in my life that I wanted to accomplish. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, a lot of my women friends or contemporaries, they started to hit walls. They started to hit walls with their careers and with money and with their kids and with relationships. And I was like, I have all this wisdom. I have all this wisdom that I've acquired through my journey. And so because of that, the newest thing is working with women. It's kind of like a shift in everything that I.
And just be patient, everybody. We've had some several glitches. I'm going to pause this until she comes back. Give me a sec. Okay, so Deborah and we've had, I think this is try 4 because either one of us or both of us are glitchy. So we're rolling with it. So, did you answer the last question? I know, the ultimate vision.
Yes, I did. Would you like me to do that again?
Just in case, yeah.
Absolutely. My ultimate vision moving into the future is working with women who have hit roadblocks. To me, that's the most exciting thing. As I had mentioned before, pre-glitch, is that I had a little secret that I was going to happily retire, until I saw COVID hit, and a lot of my women friends really went through all kinds of challenges. And I'm like, I've got answers. I've got tips and tools. I want to help. And so I'm jumping back to help women. So my ultimate vision is to inspire, to uplift, to bring joy, and to re-energize people's vital spark.
I love that. And that's so important. I love what you're doing. So what beliefs do you have that set you apart from your competition? And I am a total collaboration versus competition girl, but we all have our unique thing that helps people in different ways. So what do you think yours is?
I really believe that mine is listening and understanding. Like sometimes my client will be talking to me and they're like, you're not saying anything. And I'm like, I'm listening. But even more so, I think what's more important, my inherent talent is hearing what somebody says and understanding what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
For example, one of my clients was like, she had gone through a divorce. She had gone through such a hard time. And she's like, I never want to go through a relationship again. I don't want to have love. That's it for me. But when they were talking and I got to know more of what their vision was, the number one thing that she wanted was a loving relationship. So she's saying this over here and she's feeling this over there. And we were able to work together, get the blocks out of the way that were stopping her, so that she ended up with a happy, beautiful relationship. So I think what really sets me apart is maybe because of the depth of what I went through, I can really go deep with somebody to remove everything that's in the way of the life that they want.
I love that. And what you were saying, I'm a relationship coach. And if there's anything that can knock down your self-worth quicker, that is getting your heart broken. And, why am I not good enough? Why did they choose somebody else versus me? And Yeah, we all want and need love, but it's so scary because that is probably the most vulnerable you'll ever be. But I see that happen so many times. Love, I think that is one of the things that'll just knock your self-worth down so bad. So I love what you're doing. That is awesome. So what was the hardest thing to overcome when starting your business?
Well, it's actually right now. And it's not really to overcome, it's just a new challenge. Because I've been so successful for so long in one area, working with the women and the kids, this new track for me to become a speaker, a keynote speaker, get out there, really make a difference to women, I would say that it's a new opportunity that I'm looking forward to. And it makes it a challenge because I haven't done it before, you know, in this way. So intimately. I'm doing it now and I'm loving it. And that would be my biggest challenge.
And you could tell that it lights you up.
Oh,
you could tell that helping people totally lights you up. And that is beautiful. So, do you have the support network of friends and family encouraging you to do this? Or is this something you feel compelled to do? You know, are people going, you know what, you had a great career, you should stay retired? Or are they going, you know what, go for it? I'm just curious. Some people have that support, some people don't.
I'm so blessed that I do. I've had so many people tell me, you should be, you know, before all this transpired and I started coaching, people were like, you know what you do best? You do best on encouraging me and helping me reshape things. And my family has always seen that in me. So I'm blessed. I have the support and the excitement, everybody going, go for it. But more importantly, Robin, and I'm sure it's like, as we just talked about a little bit, I personally am coming from my raison d'etre. It's like such a passion. It's a passion play more than anything else. I really care. And that's what's motivating me to move on with this.
Got you. So this probably leading right up to this question. What is your favorite thing about your business?
My favorite thing about my business is watching people get re-energized. I've seen where, another example, I've seen somebody went through a divorce, like you said. I'm so glad that that's what you do, Robin, with relationships, because she went through a divorce. She felt beat up. She didn't know how to start again. But you know what she did naturally? She made everybody laugh. And so I kind of coached her through starting comedy. I know that's crazy, but starting comedy because it was naturally what she did. And she started doing improv and out and doing shows. And little by little, she got excited and reignited. And she actually won became a finalist for one of the 25 top female comedians in Florida. And she's flourishing. It was almost as if once she started doing what she loved, everything around her looked differently. So when I'm working with somebody who gets where I can see where they're so frightened and then they get re-energized, it makes me so happy because it reminds me of where I was and how far I've come, and I know how it feels.
That is awesome. I would have never thought that improv and comedy would even I would have never thought of that. And I suck at improv unless it's me and my man. Unless it's just us talking, then we'll see two birds and we'll start having a conversation what the birds would do. But if I'm put on the spot, there's no way it's happening. But so what inspires you? What are you passionate about? And it does not have to be business.
I think the thing that inspires me the most is creativity, or I should say courage, imagination, and curiosity. Those are the three qualities that I think you can hit a wall. And if you have any of those three qualities, you can transcend and you can triumph. So I love creativity because I think I've always been imaginative as a kid. That for a long part, when I was in my corporate career, I was paid big money for coming up with, imaginary things and visionary things. And it was fun and vital. And courage, it's like, hey, showing up for anything we show up that we haven't done before. Guess what? It takes courage, because, you know, we don't know how things are going to turn out, especially with change. And curiosity is the thing my grandmother she just said, Deborah, more than anything else, if you're curious, then you're going to be full of wonder. And wonder is like when I'll give you a little thing that makes me so happy. Did you know that if you look at a rainbow, nobody sees the same rainbow? Nobody.
No. Oh, really?
Nobody. Because of where you're standing, because of where you're looking at the light, it is literally your rainbow. I mean, like, when you get curious about all these things that are out there, even in the midst of everything that's going wrong, if you look at some of the things that are like, oh my gosh, who came up with that? And you think about it, it just does something to my heart.
Oh, I love that. And not curiosity, but creativity. So I do a little bit of numerology, and creativity comes up over and over, especially for anybody who's a life path 6. Sixes, they could be prone to extreme anxiety and stress. And it says for a life path 6, this is how you get out of it. Be creative in the home, outside of the home, be creative. It'll take you out of that. But creativity, it comes up in so many people's numerology reports, and you wouldn't, it's something simple. And a lot of us, like, I think my mind is creative. It's creative, but when it comes to putting it on paper, not necessarily. And so a lot of people might judge ourselves, right? I'm not very creative. I'm not going to do it. But you could do it in whatever way, and just it's a natural thing that helps pull you out of that. And I thought that was very interesting in numerology when I was going through that, and I would have never thought of that. And it's something just very natural, and I love that you discovered that, and that the acupuncturists help you to discover that. It's like you were creative in your previous career and you're not really doing it now. Let's get that spark back. And that's awesome. That's awesome. Great wisdom from him, for sure. So who inspires you?
My life.
Yeah. Well, and then the ripple effect. So you have helped so many other people just by using creativity. And I love that you do musicals and plays with moms and, parents and kids and stuff like that. And that's great creative energy for everybody. And that's just a ripple effect. And that'll be lasting for even those kids. It's like, remember that one time when we made this musical? That'll be with them forever. And I love that. Yay. So who inspires you?
Thank you. Well, I have 2 people that really inspire me. They're actually 2 men. One of them is my husband. He is a lawyer. So what's so interesting about him is when he used to take me on spiritual quests, he'd be the driver, the lawyer. I'm just driving her. And then all of a sudden, he started to become a seeker. And he really lives a life of working on his soul, working on kindness. And I watched him go from being a lawyer, corporate, being one of the kindest, most beautiful people I know. So he really inspires me because of it. The other person is my dad. My dad is 90, and he's the one who has pulled me through. A lot of the tips that I have come from him because he's so imaginative of the way that he shares with me. For instance, I'll give you a quick for instance. When I was in real trouble and I was like, Dad, this positive thinking, it's not working for me. I keep on trying the positive thinking and I'll look at myself in the mirror and I'm supposed to say, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're terrific. And I look in the mirror, I say, you don't look great. Everything's messed up right now. And his answer to me was, well, imagine if you were in prehistoric times and a dinosaur was chasing you. Would you sit down on a rock and start to try to think him away? I'm like, Dad, no, there's no way I can sit down on a rock and try to think him away. And he's like, exactly. Thinking, when you've got an emotion, it's a chemical reaction and you've got to move. You've got to do something with it. You've got to channel it. You can't outthink an emotion. So that's an example of why he's such an inspiration to me.
Awesome. Yay.
Yay,
So, big question. And the last question. So if you could leave one tip or golden nugget for the people listening, and it was the only thing you could tell them and your only chance to do it, what would that be?
Okay, everybody, you really have to listen to me because this is so coming from my heart. When I was really, really in big trouble, I felt as though I had seen everything, done everything. What did it matter? Like, what did it matter to keep on going? And then I was in a meeting and somebody said, what if the best is yet to come? What if the best is yet to come? And for some reason, that question landed at precisely the right moment. Because once again, in my head, I was doing that game of like, yeah, but, you know, I'm in so much pain. Why galvanize myself? Why keep on going? But that was enough. And I want to ask you the same question right now. What if the best is yet to come? What if right in front of you, but you don't know it now, even in the midst of change, there's something right around the corner that's going to bring you joy, even if you can't even imagine that that's going to happen for you right now or, you know, in the near future. If you can't hold on to that, you can look at me now and realize that 10 years ago, I just wasn't sure if I had the willpower or the will to live. And I have to say that some of the things that I'm doing now, some of the people that I've met, some of the places that I used to go, some of the
When you could.
adventures, when I could, some of the adventures that I'm even having virtually, I could have never imagined it. So you're worth it. I care. And I know that Robin does too. And I know that there's so many light workers out there that really do care about you. And what if the best is yet to come?
That's a perfect question. I just wrote that down. I love that. Because there's a lot of us. It's like, yeah, my life's over. I'm getting older, getting fatter. My life is not the same. But if you ask that question, it puts it in perspective. But we have no idea what's going to happen. And it opens up all the possibilities, just that one question. I love that. That's a great question. It's all about the questions you ask. All about the questions you ask. And you can ask empowering questions or disempowering questions. So make sure you ask empowering questions. So is there anything else that you would like to share before we talk about your giveaway?
I just want to thank you so much, Robin. I love what you're doing and how you're bringing everybody together in collaboration and spirit and really uplifting the world. You're doing your part. I love it.
Thank you. Well, and the whole self-worth thing played a part for a long time. Who am I to start a coaching platform? Or, I always wanted to change the world, but I didn't know how. And now I know that it doesn't have to be me. I could bring a whole bunch of amazing people together, and all of us together, we could change the world. Because, it puts a lot of pressure on you. It's like, I have to change the world. Well, no, I can coordinate something that makes a movement. But yeah, a lot of times you ask those crappy questions, but I know the best is still coming. And yeah, so I appreciate that. You're a
visionary. You're a visionary to see that far out, to collaborate. When we were with Disney and Universal, I had the greatest time collaborating. I wish I could replicate it in that same way, because everybody came like energetically ready to serve and to create. And that's to have that vision for this platform is amazing and brilliant.
Yeah, well, because I only have my limited point of view, right? But you have done amazing things, and your experiences are something that I've never gone through. And so you could help people in a way that I can't. And, you know, same with all of the other coaches that I've interviewed, they all have such big hearts and come from a totally different place. There's some of the things that people are talking about, there's no way possible I can help people because I haven't been through it and I have no, you know, no correlation with that subject. And so, yeah, all of us, you know, I don't want it to be a red ocean where we're all competing for the same clients. No, it shouldn't have to be that way. And, you know, if we have 100 coaches all trying to lift people up in their own different way, have more power to it. Yay. You know, because there's, you know, there's going to be people that connect with you. There's going to be people that connect with me. And then there's going to be people that's like, no, I don't really get them.
Yes.
And so, yeah, why limit it? I don't want anything to be limited. So awesome. So you are offering a PDF. It's stories and tools to get your life force back, right? Are you frozen? Are you there? Hold on. Okay, we're back. Technology, you can't live with it, you can't live without it. So, again, Miss Deborah is going to offer this PDF as stories and tools to help you get your life force back. So do you want to explain a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. What I want to help you with is your life force, essentially, because once you have that back, there's so much you can do. But when you feel overwhelmed and you feel like you're shrinking to everything that's happening rather than being expansive, and you feel, instead of feeling energized, if you feel like you're drained, then this is the tool for you. It will inspire you.
Awesome. And yeah, we need everybody inspired. What would the world be like if we were all in our life force, all just expanding the whole, you know, it would be the opposite of what's going on right now. You know, it would just be tremendous, and anything could happen if we're all in our superpowers and in our self-strength and all that. I love that. So where you would go to get that, so you go to the selfworthinitiative.net/light force. So I'll spell it out. So it's the selfworth, THESELFWORTHINITIATIVE.net, NET/life force. So LIFEFORCE. And
oh, there's no there's no the there. I'm so sorry. It's just selfworthinitiative.net.
See?
That's on me.
No, that's awesome. So selfworthinitiative.net/life force. I'm glad that you corrected me. That's awesome. So if you feel like you're struggling and you're getting compressed and feel like there's no more good days, please, you know, just go to the site, opt in, get that PDF. You know, everybody who's listening, you can join the onlytheinspired.com Facebook group, and the coaches are in there, and you can connect with them and, you know, take her up on the PDF. And she's helped so many people. She's helped herself. You know, if she felt like she didn't have a reason to live, and now look at her, she's beaming. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful what she's doing. I love it. And also, you know, there's so many people that need to hear this message. So please share the interview, share the message, go to selfworthinitiative.net/life force and get that PDF. And Deborah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you very much. You're welcome. And thank you, everybody. Please share the video, and we will see you next time.
Okay.
I'm here.
Are you there? So
Oh
what
my
was
God.
that
You know
like
what's
for
so
you?
funny? All I could see was joy. I mean, that's weird when you watch yourself back and you're like so excited to share and uplift and your joy and excitement. It was cool. It was really cool.
Well, you just beam. You always have this big giant smile, and I love that. And just about all of the coaches do, you know, when they talk about how they get to help people, it's like, yay, this is what I get to do for life, not what I'm forced to do. You don't hit the snooze button 50 times because it's like, yay, I get to change lives today. So I love that. Yay.
I mean, Robin, what are you finding out? Like, as you're looking around the world right now, what are you seeing as far as like the need for coaching and the need that's out there?
You know, I see a big divide, and it's sad. I see in the US versus the world, because I'm sure it's different. I find the whole COVID thing being a political divide. And working with the public, people are pissed off. Either people are scared or they're pissed off, and I don't believe there's enough kindness going on right now. And people think that they're being forced to do something that they don't want to do. And I think it's all a limited perspective. But so there's so much more compassion that needs to be happening right now. People need to learn, you know, what if my job never comes back? What do I do now? And to actually appreciate the people, you know, appreciate what's going on, and not just be stubborn. Some people are very stubborn right now. You know, working in a restaurant and bar, you'll have people cuss you out because they don't know when their normal life's going to go back in order. They don't know when, you know, their favorite places are going to open up. They're just, I think now more than ever is a time for coaching, for healing, for forgiving, for looking forward to, you know, what is possible instead of looking at the yuck. And so there is a lot of yuck out there right now, but at the same time, it is a time to self-reflect and actually connect with yourself and find out what's really important. And yeah, so I see the whole gamut of emotions. Some of them are people are super stressed, and, you know, with double hurricanes and fires and all this other stuff on top of the COVID, on top of businesses shutting down or staying closed. This is a time for us to join arms and, you know, help each other through it. And if that is getting a little bit of coaching on, you know, either what my next step in my career life is going to be like, because now my work is shut down, or how can I forgive? How can I ground? How can I find my purpose? So I think it's a very unique year, super unique year. And, you know, there's blessings and curses at the same time. And it's not like Tony Robbins says, it's not what happens to you. It's it's the meaning that you give what happens to you. Right? Because stuff's going to happen to you. So you could take it as a huge blow, or you could take it as maybe this is, you know, draw the line in the sand. This is my next phase, my next chapter in life. It's how you look at it, what kind of questions you ask. But I think a lot of us need a lot of help right now. And so I think this is a perfect time for coaching and community, and, you know, just being compassionate for others, because there's, you know, no doubt there's people who have lost businesses, and that's their, you know, they don't know what to do. And people who have lost family members to the sickness, and they don't know how to handle that. So, you know, we have lots of coaches, just like Keri and a few of the other coaches talk about loss and how to deal with, you know, the loss of a family member. And so perfect time to reach out for people like that, and perfect time for self-worth, just like you were saying. So if they lost their career, where is their self-worth? So now I need to build me back up before I can expand. And so I believe it's a perfect time for coaching. And, and coaching is, and a lot of people, I don't need coaching. Well, you might not. You could, move through this process of life and try and figure it out all on your own, or you could get help. And coaching can be there for the dark times and for the most beautiful times and everywhere in between. And so if you feel like you don't want to do this all by yourself, reach out, get involved in this community. All the people here just thrilled to help you. There's people thrilled to help you who want to be your cheerleader in whatever stage that is for you. So, yeah. What do you think? What do you think about coaching in right now? What do you think?
Well, you know what you just said that reminded me of a story. Can I share a quick story with you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
This was a while ago, but it's like one of my favorite stories of like, whoa, aha. I went to get some coffee. I'm waiting in line, and there's a barista there. And the barista has he's got the tats on his arms, and he's got the earrings, and he was like, he had a scowl on his face. And like every time he'd put down the coffee, it would be like a clink, and the coffee would practically go up. The anger that was permeating from this guy was like amazing. And part of me was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this guy is being so rude. But then there was another part of me, probably the heart part of me, that was like, all right, let's take this as an opportunity. Let's ask him what's happening. So it's my turn. I watched him this whole time. I get up there and I kind of lean in, and he's starting to make his coffee. And I said, are you okay? What's happening in your life? You seem really upset right now. And he kind of, you know how somebody kind of like, they look at you, but they're not sure whether to talk to you or not. He gave me one of those looks, and then he said to me, you know what? My mother's in the hospital. I don't know if she's going to make it. She's got cancer, and we're just like praying that she comes through. Now, he didn't say it like that. I mean, I'm using my words, but essentially in his guy attitude, that's what he was imparting to me. And it really took me back, Robin. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is such an opportunity. I'm in this card store where this coffee shop is. I got a card. I wrote his mother this whole long letter, like about, I hope you just really come through. I gave it to the guy and I left. About 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, I come back. And it's the same barista, and he's smiling. He's like a whole different person. And I get up there, and he just like welcomes me like an old friend. And he goes, I got to tell you, that letter that you gave to my mother meant so much to her. It really made all the difference in the world. And she's doing great. She's fine. And I could see it on his face. And in that moment, he taught me so much. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because of COVID. And because of the coaching. So many times people don't have the opportunity to say in real life or in real time, this is what's happening. World, stop, hold on, I'm hurting, I'm suffering. Please, just understand that my rudeness, my whatever it might be, it's not me. It's how I'm reacting with trying to shuffle all these other things. So what I think about what you said, with the coaching is it's almost imperative right now to have somebody that you can talk to on a real level when you're trying so hard to show up like you've always been. So that's my thoughts on that.
Well, and sometimes we don't have that real level talk. We try to look strong. We try to keep our act together when we go out in public. And sometimes you have that stuff building up, and you could be pissy when you don't mean to. You could, if somebody cuts you off in traffic, and you start cussing them off and, flipping them off. And, first of all, we don't know what their situation is. And lots of times, I've been upset. It's like, what a jerk. And then 5 minutes later, I'll cut off somebody. But, the reaction, the initial anger or frustration or whatever, that's because we have all of this unresolved stuff that we're all trying to pretend that's not there, or we don't know how to handle it. And somebody could do something, something very small that triggers us, and it's not their fault, it's not our fault, but sometimes we don't have that place to come out and talk about those serious topics. And and like on the first, I don't know if you saw the first interview, we're talking about teenage suicide. And I tear up. We've had several coaches who cry in the interviews. That's life, and we all have to have that place. And some of us either don't have the opportunity to, or people around us, or maybe we're dealing with somebody we're living with and we can't really talk to anybody. So we are there for those situations, and we're all human. We all go through those things. And unless you're taught and trained to open up, and a lot of times, especially men, are not taught to talk about their feelings. And so coaches in every walk of life can help you. And so, I hope people understand that it's not, it's not, we have different perspectives of how to get out of that. What if we change the perspective around? What if we ask different questions instead of, why? And I've heard lots of people say, what else is going to happen? Don't ask that question. It's like a bring it on, Mother Nature. What else are you going to bring to me? Don't ask that question. Say, okay, how can I get past this? It's all about questions that you ask, but a lot of times we don't know that. And the simple wisdom of the coaches, because we've been through it, and let's look at it from a different perspective. And sometimes that teeny little perspective changes everything. And before you came on, I was talking about Date with Destiny and how I got over being molested when I was young. And that was literally just a different perspective, and looking at it from a different way. And so much healing happened just from that perspective switch. When you don't think there's a different way to look at it, there is. And that could be with any situation. But I want to create that place for us to talk about those deep subjects. It's, Only Then Inspires not just a course taking platform. It's a coaching platform. You have coaches trained to help you, help you with anything that you want. And so I hope that people really understand that, that it's coaching, and, it's people truly trained to help you get past those situations.
Well, it's the coach that makes the winners. It's the coach that, it's a coach that really understands where somebody is and takes them to where they want to go. And that makes all the difference in the world. And you're doing, Robin. If I had a hat, I'd be like, hats off to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And I love what you're doing. Like I said, self-worth affects all of us. That question that I ask, I talked about the support network, but the question, what's the hardest thing to overcome when starting your business? And a lot of it's my self-worth. Who am I to do this? And, I love that we have a community of people that say, who am I? And, we question it, but we do it anyways. And then, we're going against our fears, and we're, because we know that we're worthy. And sometimes we gotta, have that inner conversation on a daily basis. I can do it because I can help people, and I'm worthy, and I love myself, and all. Yeah. So I think all of us, all humans, deal with that.
I think that's the big one. I think when I say the big one, I mean, like, if you put a good value on yourself, I mean, just think about it. Okay, one last thing, and because this is When I used to be an award-winning artist, my grandmother taught me that you have to, come from the top. There were so many artists that were just starting, and they'd like practically give it away. They'd say, "Okay, here, just buy my artwork for $100." And I was starting 1,000. That was my starting, place. So, and people, when you feel like whatever you're creating is worth that, guess what happens? There's a ton of people who are saying, I want to buy it for just that. And it's the same with, even in this scenario, when you really don't let COVID destroy your self-worth and you believe that you're all that, you can't, and you put the value on yourself and you say, this is how much I'm worth and this is why. People will buy into that. They'll believe it. It's only when you don't. That's what's so hard to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, and it's this is probably the first situation in all of our lives where the whole world is going through the same situation. The whole world is feeling the same situation, and it's interesting, and it can bring us together.
It's going to. I really think that it is. I think that because everything is something that everybody can understand. There's nobody on the sidelines going, well, I don't get it. Yeah, they got it.
Right. Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for being here. So I do want to talk about our coaches tomorrow. So we have the beautiful Miss Teresa Lambert, and I love her accent. So she's been in the hotel hospitality industry, and so she ran the hotel. So she helps people find that work-life balance, because there's a lot of the coaches on here who used to work the corporate world, and it was just massive hours, massive pressure, and sometimes you can't find that work-life balance. And so she has written a book, and she's got courses, and she helps people really find that balance in their life and do really well at their career. And then we have Lucia Tiffany, and so she helps people. She does cooking. She's a nurse. She helps people that are pre-diabetic and post-diabetic, how to handle those kind of situations. And so they're very powerful interviews tomorrow. So I'm super excited about that. And so make sure that you guys check that out tomorrow. We're going to be starting at 11 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Daylight Standard Time, however you say that. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. And make sure you go check out onlytheinspired.com and, really look at all of the offers that there are for you. $67 a month to get this, world of coaching and courses in the community to help you go through whatever you're dealing with right now, or help you find your passion and live the life that you've always wanted to live. So anyways, thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Miss Deborah. And if you want to hold on, we'll chat for a few minutes after. Okay. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.